Abigail.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, we have Abigail from Atlanta, right?
Yes.
And, Mikaela is in Mexico City.
Oh, cool. Hi.
Mikaela.
Hi, nice to meet everyone.
Wow,
Very good.
so many
Thank
people.
you.
Yeah.
So we have Mexico, Atlanta, LA, DC, and London.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm actually in the Bay Area. I'm in like the
Bay
Area.
Area. Okay, it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe for sure. Yeah.
Abigail, Mikaela, you wanted to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Okay. As Pablo said, I'm from Atlanta. I am currently a graduating senior from high school, and I'm heading to NYU in the fall. Right now, part of my school's film program. So I'm a producer on our new show. I also was awarded for like Student of the Year for AV for my county in Gwinnett. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I just do a lot of film stuff. So it's cool.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi. My dogs are barking in the back, so sorry about that. But, well, I'm Mikaela. I'm from Mexico. I'm also going to be going to New York in the fall, but I'm going to FIT for graphic design, which is going to be very cool. And yeah, I took a gap year off of high school, and I'm just finishing that. So I'm excited for going back to school. And yeah, I'm a big fan of music and film and art in general, and I'm very excited to be able to participate in this, and I'm very glad to meet everyone.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We have Anna and Kolinda joining us.
So I'm a coordinator with Gwinnett County Public Schools Television. We're in Suwanee, Georgia. I've been with the district for about 20 years. We started our cable TV station here to be an education access network for the district. And in Gwinnett County, we have over 140 schools, 180,000 students, and our department is responsible for running the station and working with students and correspondents. And one of our students happens to be on this broadcast today, Miss Abigail. Hey, Abigail.
Hi, Kolinda.
Hi, it's good to see you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Carreto. I'm the founder of Let's Do It Amigos, which is an organization, an NGO that does a lot of things, because whenever you start an NGO in Mexico, I first started in Mexico, you can do many, you can help in many causes. So that's what we started doing. And also we are doing the volunteering trips, where I met Mika. And yeah, I'm here because I was also an English teacher for middle school students. So I understand the need of, helping the youth in general, teenagers and so on. So I'm very happy to be part of this project. Thank you, Pablo. And yeah, thank you, everyone.
Of course. Well, welcome, everyone. We have still a couple of minutes ahead, but we have Eric here. Eric, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Eric Booth. I'm 100 miles north of New York City, and I am the co-founder of the International Teaching Artist Collaborative, which is the first network of artists who work in communities and schools around the world. And I heard about this event, and I wanted to learn from the young people. I got to learn more about that.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. We also have Clyde. Clyde, nice to see you.
My name is Clyde. I'm co-founder of Trinity Education Group. I'm an author of Girl Out of Time, and Pablo and I had spent some time working together at South by Southwest EDU this year, and I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing, and I love the act of creation. I think it's the best learning there is. So I'm looking forward to this.
We have also Lisa from Digital Promise joining us. Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself? Welcome.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to be here. My name's Lisa. I'm based in Berkeley, California, in the United States. And I work with my colleague, Elyse Gainor, on our Youth Voice and Innovation programming at Digital Promise.
Mhm. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome, everyone. This is a very important moment, I believe, for this initiative, because I personally, by myself, I started working on this project about, I would say, 1 year ago. One of the first person that I shared this idea was Kolinda, that is here, with Bryan many years ago when we were working together at the Museum of the Moving Image in New York City. We talked many times about how dreaming about the idea of creating a youth network. In reality, this idea for me, myself, came like about 15 years ago when I was working for the city of Barcelona. And they asked me to design a project to engage young people using multimedia resources. And it was curious because my first idea was, okay, let's create a network, a youth network. And the reaction from the city was exactly that. They say, well, Pablo, you know, this is very challenging. We don't have so many resources to do this. And I proposed an alternative plan, which was, okay, let's create a TV show. So, which is not easy as well. But my proposal was, give me 1 year to work on this. I want to imply kids in all the process of the filmmaking, from designing and writing the script and being camera operators, and empower them as much as possible. After that project, we did a second a project that we tried to improve and trying to give them more power. And what we learned from that first initiative was that what we needed to do for really the project be long-lasting was to empower them as a leaders. First is in a small group of teams, creators or producers that are going to do the casting by themselves to call the other kids join the project. I think that the biggest inconvenience that we have to face always when we came with an idea like this is that youth are not going to be able to do it. And I say, well, youth right now are having YouTube channels. Why are not going to be able to create a space if we can curate them and invite them to be together, to create something together, instead to become individual influencers. So, and then we are here, right? Still trying to do this project. It still sounds like a dream, but I believe that if we keep united on this and we are able to excite a group of young people, they are going to be absolutely able to do it. So we have several invites in this panel to talk, starting with Elyse Gainor from Digital Promise.
I can start with a quick introduction to Digital Promise. We're a global nonprofit working to expand opportunity for each learner. So we basically work with educators, researchers, technology leaders, and communities to design, investigate, and scale up innovations that empower learners, especially those who've been historically or systematically excluded. So we have a lot of different projects and initiatives that we work on as an organization and as a whole. The YouthMade Festival comes out of one body of work on our learning experience design team that, as Lisa mentioned, our focus is youth voice and innovation. So we have a couple of projects that really focus on supporting youth as creators, designers, makers, advocates and activists in their communities. And the YouthMade Festival is really about bringing together people, whether it's educators, students, organizations, advocates, bringing together people who are championing youth creativity and innovation in their communities and highlighting really powerful, exciting, or youth-made work that youth will want to share and spotlight. So it's really about celebrating youth creativity and innovation worldwide, inviting folks who care about that, whether they're a young person themselves or whether they're an adult working in this space, and creating a moment where we can all have a shared celebration for what youth are creating and doing in their communities. And so the festival runs for 2 weeks. It starts on May 15th and it ends on May 28th. And throughout the 2 weeks, We're inviting people to host their own events, such as these. People can also share with us stories that we will help promote on social media, or opportunities that we can help promote on social media. And then year round, we stay connected with this community through our newsletter, through social media, to keep highlighting and showcasing powerful stories of youth creativity and innovation. So that's a pretty quick overview of our organization and then what the YouthMade Festival is about. And I'm happy to talk to anybody after this meeting or in a different way if you want to connect and share ideas.
Thank you so much, Elyse. I think that, thank you for the opportunity. I think that to organize events of this type is very important, especially to give youth the voice that they really need, right? Taking them seriously, and it is a proof that, you know, they can absolutely be able to do the things and achieve their goals, right? I would love to introduce right now Kolinda, that you can introduce a little bit yourself and then talk about a little bit, what do you think that teens need a media network?
Yeah, thank you, Pablo. And thank you so much. I appreciate being part of this conversation. I am a coordinator, again, with Gwinnett County Public Schools. We're a large district in Georgia. I've been with the district for over 20 years, and we started a television station, an educational access channel, and we get the opportunity to help students tell stories. We tell stories about the district. And over the years, we've run a media festival of our own where we get to see all of the great projects that our students are producing. And again, one of our students is on this call that she's going to share a little bit about that later. But in terms of the need for this network, I just think, like Pablo said earlier, we've been talking about this for a while, and we, you know, it's kind of like we can't believe it doesn't exist. So we're very excited to be part of the platform that will help launch this. You know, we just know media is such an integral part of our students' lives and teenagers' lives, and it's more important than ever to kind of create that space where they can create and drive the narrative of what they're hearing and seeing. You know, they truly need representation in that space where they live. And even as adults, you know, it's hard for us to navigate that digital landscape. There's so much information. So for us to kind of help and guide them in terms of curating that space, creating that safe space, creating the content, and creating that content. Just this year, we've had our students come forward and really seek opportunities and want to plan opportunities for them to raise their own voices. So we created an Amplify event, and we held a student voice summit. And we were just amazed, again, at the honesty and the integrity of their voices, and how they really are seeking ways to be able to share their voice and to bring their ideas to the table. And so, again, this network will help us do that. I think we realized during the pandemic that education shifted in a lot of ways. Our views on how to educate students and how students could participate, and what students, how that classroom could look. And so I think this is, again, is another opportunity for us to revisit that. And, you know, there's a new worldview out there, and we want to be able to help shape that and guide our students with that, and just help them navigate this space where all of this media impacts them. So the idea for this network, you know, it's, again, still in development with conversations, but it's really that safe space for teens, and that the idea that they're going to create content in a collaborative way. They're going to lead the discussions, but they also are going to have voices from across the nation and across the country to really come together and have that space to share ideas and bring their voices forward. And again, I think the importance of just creating collaboratively. We know we've got safe spaces, which we've always had in terms of libraries and community colleges and some after school places. But I think this is another opportunity for us to kind of leverage some of those ideas, find some of the things that works, and that try to create our own community that we can provide this space for our teens to really thrive.
Thank you so much, Kolinda. I think that is super important also to create this synergy between the professionals that are working with teens in education. And yeah, highlight again the importance of creating more safe, digitally safe spaces that right now is so difficult find, even for adults, right? Regarding your case, Ana, Ana Carreto, that you have experience working also. You worked previously with Mikaela. So how do you think that we can trust that level of confidence for teens, for them to feel, confidence that they can do a project of this type?
Yeah, thank you, Pablo. So as I said before, I was a teacher some years ago in Mexico. And I remember every time someone would ask me, and how are the kids doing? And I was like, well, I'm not with kids, I'm in middle school. So most of the people would be like, oh, that must be hard. Oh my God, as if they were afraid of teenagers, kind of. And I realized that most of the attention, not only in Mexico, but all around the world, was programs and so on, which is also fine, but they were focusing on kids or college graduates or the ones that were about to start this professional life and so on. And because somehow teenagers are seen as kids sometimes, but other times we want them to be adults already. So, and whenever they have something that is like an adult responsibility, we treat them as kids. So it's so confusing for them as well. And I realized that giving them, because I don't like the word saying empower someone, because we don't need to give the power to anyone. We already have it. So, and they already have it. So it's kind of just like to remind them that they have it and to trust themselves again. And by doing in order to achieve that, we need to trust them first, that they're able to do and capable of doing things that maybe they were told they weren't yet because they weren't grown-ups, but they're not kids anymore. So I started doing this with my students when I was a teacher, rather than just giving them the normal class or whatever that was included in the curriculum. We started doing other types of things that were part of the school as well. But later on, I left the school, and a couple of years later, I started doing the volunteering trips. And one of my students contacted me and said, hey, teacher, I want to join the volunteering trip. And I was like, yeah, sure, let me send you all the information. I was already here in the States, and she was still in Mexico. She was 17 years old back then. And she told me, okay, my dad passed away a couple of months ago, and my mom, we're still struggling with the money and so on. Let me see what I can do with the money. I'm not sure I will be able to go because my mom says that it will take her years to save this amount of money, which was like $3,000. It might not sound like a huge amount for someone that is doing money in the US, which it is a big amount still. But imagine in Mexico with the exchange rates and so on, and the salaries there, it was crazy. So I told her, okay, this is not like to encourage you to come if you don't want to do it. It's fine. I'm not selling you anything, but I can give you some advice of what I did when I was a teenager and I wanted to travel. So I told her you can do videos, a fundraising campaign and so on. And she started it. And she got all the money by herself. I didn't do anything. I didn't just I helped her to spread the word as I would help any other campaign. And it was amazing. Like, she was surprised. Her mom was surprised. Her friends were also shocked how she did it by herself, being a minor, because most of the times, if you're not 18 plus, you might not be able to do certain things. So she proved herself and everyone else that it was possible to do the things by themselves. And for me, it was so inspiring. And it was just a confirmation, because I already knew it, that they can do it. And so, yeah, for me, having this network with the teenagers that share the same interests or similar interests as well is so important, because you give them this trust and confidence to do it themselves, and they don't have to do anything else to inspire others, because just by doing it, they're already being an inspiration. So yeah, that's for me. When I heard about the project, I was like, yeah, I'm all in, because this is what they need. this is what I've seen that they struggle with, like finding others, not only to feel mentored and supported, but also to feel that they're not the only ones out there in the world, like struggling with this kind of things.
So thank you so much, Anna, for these important and insightful things. We had the opportunity to work with Bryan at the Museum of the Moving Image with the Teen Council, and was an adventure that was both crazy and insightful at the same time. So Bryan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Pablo. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm just to jump in a little bit on that confidence thing, you know, it's so important, both on my philosophy as an educator, or facilitator, organizer, artist, all these things, but also as a person, as a human being, right? So I feel that there needs to be a clear line as to why this particular project is different from like maybe your after school project, right? Of the after school program where maybe someone would a parent will send a student to, right? Which still in some ways in different levels, to my understanding and my experience, still hold kind of like conservative values, right? And so what I'm excited that this project can do, and that ties in with like my philosophy of education, is really how to create or the question as to how to create a space that besides or through like education builds different types of like emotional landscapes, right? Collectively in collaboration. So how can this experience be an experience that is also transformative to you personally? How do we look at youth, at students, not only as students or youth, but as people, as whole complex individuals, right? With pressing, urgent matters that need to be like discussed. And so in a way, I feel like the collaboration and like kind of transformative experience in this is adapting to both their language and giving them the opportunity to adapt to ours, right? As adults, or people existing in this intergenerational space, where hierarchies can maybe be dismantled in some way, right? I feel like maybe hierarchical structures can still be important in some way or another, but that I also feel like I have so much to learn from youth, and that my teaching can be informed by whatever is urgent and present to you as students, right? And these are like nuanced, unique, individual things. And we usually, what we tend to do in education, in academia, which for me feels a flaw, is that we tend to universalize things, right? When often things are very specific. It's okay to be specific. And I feel like we should be able to create that for both youth and people in general. But also, I think what's important about this program would be that we are allowing people to make mistakes and work from failures, right? So failures can also trigger praxis and change in some type of way. Most things you are here to fail, right? I mean, this is kind of like a very difficult to hear, especially for young people who are on the verge of experiencing this other thing, this like adult world and this adult life and these new experiences, that we plan ahead for the future at such extreme levels, and at times the very capitalist spaces in which we navigate as people, right? And more so as people on the margins, right? Cultural, racially, gendered in many ways. There are like no rooms for mistakes. We are bound to perfection in some type of way. And these are things that I feel, or philosophy is the ideas that we need to interrupt. And so I feel in some ways this project and our philosophies as educators and cultural producers should be open to these type of failures and open to these type of mistakes, opportunities and chances and lessons for growth. Yeah, and I'll end it there because I know that we also have other people would like to discuss a little bit about their experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bryan. We would love to hear the beyond perspective here. What do you think about this? Do you think that this is something that you needed? Do you think that is something that you are going to enjoy? Do you think that is how it should be, right? Because at the end of the day, you are going to create this thing, right?
Well, hi everyone. It's great to have the opportunity to speak here. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much, Pablo, for creating this space. I was talking with you and Ana about a week ago, and something that we said then, and I think is very important to say now, is that I think this project is necessary, not only a good idea, but I think creating a safe and moderated space for youth, and especially creative youth, is very, very important and necessary, because in the internet climate now, the stream of information is so constant and overwhelming, and it's just so difficult to have this like information that is trustworthy. And so by creating this network of youth, I think it's super important, because that way there's a safe discussion space to see if sources are trustworthy, and there's a nice kind of, I don't know how to say it, but this sense of community that gets made, and I think that's incredible. And even then, just by allowing something like this, which is very simple in a way, I think it's very powerful. Like immediately while we were introducing ourselves, Abigail and I already made a connection. We were like, oh, we're gonna be in the same city in the fall. So in that way, there's already a connection that has been made, and that's tremendous. And so I think that this project is very cool because of that. And thank you so much for creating a space like this. Abigail, do you want to go?
Yeah, thank you, Pablo and Kolinda, for giving me this opportunity to speak here today and give my perspective. What Mikaela was saying, I think it's definitely necessary that we have creative spaces for youth to kind of express ideas freely and openly and kind of exercise that muscle of creativity. Just speaking to my personal experience of working in broadcast work for 4 years in school, I love the opportunity to kind of creatively express myself through, the lens and kind of broadcast that to a larger audience. But I felt that I was still limited in terms of the type of content I could create and the kind of conversations I wanted to have. I was able to create a lot of different things and kind of build my skills, but I feel like having like a team media network would allow us to have the conversations and talk about the topics that we're not normally able to have with adults who kind of don't necessarily share ideas, and younger children that kind of may not understand the big picture ideas that we're kind of entering in and immersing ourselves in as we enter into adulthood. And going to film school in the fall and potentially pursuing a career as a writer and director, I feel like this can kind of give me a space and a platform to kind of see what type of content I can create, what kind of voices I want to, platform and work with in the future, and kind of seeing the direction of, what are we looking for in the future? What does my audience want to see? What do people, my peers, kind of want to work on, and what they want to see, and kind of, the world we want to create creatively. So I think this is extremely vital, moving in the direction of, progressive media, platforming a lot of diverse young voices. I think is necessary, especially in a world that is changing very rapidly, in a direction that a lot of us, may not be recognizing. So I think this is an extremely cool project, and I'm excited to join.
I would like to say something. It's not a question, it's more like a comment. It is true that it's for the youth that is interested in this, like in arts, video production, and so on, but also for the ones that have no idea, which happens a lot, on what to do like with their free time or with their lives or so on, and they're trying to discover new things, as it is something that is already part of their of their daily lives, even though they never thought about doing this. I think it's helpful for them as well to try it out, and doesn't mean that they will do this for the rest of their lives, but they can find a lot of interesting things, not only about like new techniques and so on, but about themselves. So it's a huge thing for everyone, and it's not that it's only for a certain area of teens, and that is the beautiful thing about it.
Eric, I wanted to hear your perspective since you work in global projects, right? How do you think, because this is a possibility, right, to connecting teens from different parts of the world, right, doing creative things, and what is your perspective on this?
Yes, I've worked with many small networks of teenagers connecting across the world, and there are a few regular patterns that I notice that you may already have made better by the groundwork you have laid with this project. I often notice there's a getting started period where, as Mikaela was saying, you need to create that safe space, and it's personal. It's, you know, getting a feel of one another and enjoying the discoveries, and usually quite small and like focused on what do you like to eat, and, you know, what do you have pets, you know, to connect on that level before there's a kind of opening up of sharing. And I guess I had a question for these young people, because I've been interested that after a safe space has been created, there is sometimes uncertainty about what they want to say in it. You know, what is urgent that, you know, is so strong that it must be said, or that is been waiting for its opportunity to come forth. And I'm wondering what some of the young people on this call are feeling, that urgency, what it is they want to bring into the world now that they have a medium and a support structure that's going to invite it.
That's a really good question, actually. I guess an example of a work that I've done that kind of exemplifies the type of issues and, I guess, things that I want to talk about in a safe space. I'm working on a documentary for school that's is about a play called She Kills Monsters that involves a lot of representation in terms of the diversity that we've kind of brought to it, but it also talks about mature topics that a lot of plays and a lot of, you know, things that we do in the community don't really talk about. And it talked about, you know, a lot of touchy subjects are really controversial in our community. And I think having safe spaces, you know, that, you know, the Teen Media Network can create would allow us to kind of present media and kind of showcase those topics. And, you know, in a space that is not, you know, gonna, I guess, shy away from it. And, you know, I think it'd be an amazing, you know, thing to have a platform to talk about such issues that are normally controversial or being like under attack in terms of like a lot of the laws that are being passed, a lot of the things that we're seeing in, you know, the media and the news about, you know, crazy things that are happening nowadays. So I think having a safe space to facilitate conversations or create media, you know, about such topics would be extremely necessary and vital.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that having a space like this is very important because of that. And the ability to be able to discuss these controversial or touchy subjects with a more global perspective is definitely something that I think is very, very interesting and important, considering like using something that applies to me as a woman in Mexico. There's a lot of issues surrounding women's rights and feminism and those kinds of things, violence against women, etc. And so to have this platform to be able not only to discuss topics like this with people from all over the world and see how those issues affect them, but also to have the opportunity to then, through those discussions, have an access for creativity and for a way to express these emotions through creativity, I think that's huge and very, very important and very cool as well.
Mikaela, what kind of creative media, what kind of creative expression draws you for work around examining gender issues in an international perspective? Like, what kind of stuff would you like to make?
Oh my God. Well, I feel that the really interesting thing about having this space is that there's really no bounds to what you can make. Not necessarily like something tangible and physical, but for example, my friends and I a few years ago made an online magazine, and we would talk about certain creative endeavors that everyone was having, and it was kind of like a newsletter. And so since I'm going to be studying graphic design, something in that area I think would be very cool. Or like Abigail was saying, making documentaries, especially having the perspectives of all of these people, I think would be very interesting to see. And I think what's also very cool about this project is that the way we connect gives us this opportunity to discuss what types of creative media we could make. And I think that's very cool.
It's a good thing you and Abigail are going to be in the same city next year. Good things are going to happen.
I love that for both of those. I hope Abigail shared that she got the scholarship and everything for NYU. I mean, we are really just so proud of her. She was our CTAE Student of the Year too, and she just has this voice that, I mean, she was not afraid to step up into that spotlight and to just really say, you know, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm here to say, and watch me, you know. And it's like, okay, we're watching, you know, we're so proud to have you part of this, and your voice as well. You know, it's just, I think that, again, this is why we're here, because we want you to be able to lift those voices and to kind of help you share and craft the messages that you're really going to rock our world with. So kudos to both of you.
One of the things that I've been doing was to start calling for mentors, right? That is a fundamental part of the project as well, because I think that creating the human body that is going to be able to guide and keep a cohesive group of teams working together, well, the mentors are a fundamental part. One of them is here, Rosa. So thank you so much for being here. Would you like to say something or your opinion about the project?
Okay. Hi, as he introduced, my name is Rosa Elena. I now live in upstate New York, but I grew up in the Bronx. Don't know how many you're familiar with that area. It's not just known for the Yankees, head south. We do have a lot of rich history, and you know, as a girl growing up in that area, I had mentioned to Pablo, it's a place where a lot of kids like me don't make it out because either we lack the financial resources or sometimes even the educational resources. I wanted to do something in music. Obviously, the Bronx is known for hip hop, and you know, to some extent, some other, I think, dance history as well. But I need to be corrected on that probably. But I found a music audio engineering program at Hostos Community College. But I had actually started learning how to DJ when I was 15 from another program that was meant for teen girls. And that was a big thing for me, but it also wasn't a safe space because of the neighborhood that it was in. So at Hostos, you know, a man named Reese Shad created this program where students can study audio engineering and music production and learn about all these techniques within a safe space inside the Bronx. And that was huge for me because not only were we working in a studio for free, but I found a community of people who also enjoyed making music and they want to express themselves through that medium, whether it was through podcasting or creating audio narratives, or in my case, you know, putting music together for people to have a great time. And I really think that that space was what led me to study broadcast in Eden College, because I wanted to hear stories from other people about how they experienced it. You know, currently, I'm not an educator. I mentioned to Pablo, I spent the past 2 years helping my parents beat cancer. I had to be their caretaker for a while. They're both fine now, thank God. But it's more like, you know, I'm doing self-care, but I also want to pass on the knowledge that I have to other young people, because if I needed that space when I was younger, I can imagine everybody else, especially with this changing climate and media, how it's going now. Like, there's so much bad news, and sometimes you just want to like take a step back and just create stuff like with positive influences and having like something to help guide you and have someone there for you, especially talking about difficult topics. Growing up in a Latin household, I wasn't allowed to talk about sex or, not having children because that would be like an uproar, like some religious things. So I know there's kids who want to talk about that, but they don't have the space for it. And a lot of music has that medium to express that. And I think that that's something that, we can also add on to this project. I'm really excited about it. I agree with Mikaela that we do need more spaces like this. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, thanks, Pablo, and everyone else who's here. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Rosa, for sharing your experiences. There is a future here if we keep working together. And I think that we don't have to get discouraged and keep working, right? And creating and having fun. I think that that is the most important thing. How you can become a mentor for the project, if you are interested or communicate to someone else that want to probably become a mentor in the project, I will put in the chat that link. And then also for teams to participate, they can go directly to the website, okay, and sign up in the website. Let's spread the voice, right? The next step would be to do a pilot project 3 months where we are going to work with a small group of teams, okay? And in those 3 months, the idea is to shape all the conceptual part. That imagery that you can see on the web is something that I created, but the idea is that they can create that, and we have some amazing activities to do online for them to start defining all these foundational elements of the project, especially what is the project about and how it's going to be communicated. It's going to be like a fun stuff of creating a startup. Also want to give the last couple of minutes to Elyse, so you can also, Elyse, share what is coming up next week at the YouthMade Festival, that you have an amazing conversation coming as well.
Yeah, so tomorrow we'll be having an ed camp for educators, and ed camp is basically all peer-to-peer learning. So we invite educators to come share with each other, learn from each other. There are no presentations or preparation really involved in terms of like preparing slides or visuals or anything like that, but it's really an informal space where educators can come together and learn from each other and take the learnings that they get in the ed camp and bring them into practice in their classrooms. And then next week we have another panel with students from India, Kazakhstan, and I think I forgot the other country, but we do have another panel with a group of students who have designed solutions to issues in their communities as part of the Siena Solutions Challenge. So you all are welcome to attend that. I'm going to just drop our link in the chat. It's youthmade.org. This is where you can actually just sign up for our email list. You can add your own content to the directory or even add your own event to the directory. And then you can also find the directory on that page to see what other events and stories and content that people have submitted.
Okay, thank you so much, Elyse, for sharing all the things. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much to Digital Promise. You are doing an amazing job. Please keep doing it. Thank you so much for being here. Again, enjoy your weekend. And yeah, we will connect it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Nice to meet you all.